Hey everyone, welcome to the video, and today let's do a little review on the 6+1 traits of writing and the writing process. So your objective for today will be, by the end of this lesson, students will have gone back over the 6+1 traits of writing and the writing process. This is your objective for today, guys. Now let's look at what the rubric will look like. This is basically the 6+1 traits of writing. This is kind of what the teacher judges when they correct your pieces of writing. So let's talk about it. You have ideas, organization, sentence fluency, word choice, voice, convention, plus presentation. Now, if you look at this slide, you will see that we tried. We tried to make a little metaphor for you. We tried to assimilate these points with parts of your body. So you have ideas would be referred to as your brain, organization, your skeleton, sentence fluency would be your feet, word choice would be your muscles, voice would be your heart, convention would be your rib cage, and it's for you now to tell me what presentation would be. Which part of your body would be presentation, but we can look at that later. Now you can pause this video for a second and try to think about why we decided to connect these traits of writing to these particular parts of your body. All right, now let's look at that. Ideas. Why do we say that your ideas are your brain? When you're going to write something, if you have no ideas, if you can't gather ideas, collect, I don't know, how do you call that? Things to support what you want to say. I came up with the word thing, but this is not what I was looking in my mind. The word just didn't come. So without ideas, you have nothing to write about. This is, it's obvious. The same way your brain controls your body, your ideas control your writing. The ideas you choose to include or exclude from your writing determine where your writing is going. So ideas can include your position, purpose, facts. You're gonna come up with facts, statistics. You will provide examples. You will come up with specific details. You will give definition. So this is all of the things that you need to gather before you start your piece of writing. And because of these things or the things that are going to lead your writing to a path, to a certain way, this is why we say that they are the brain of your writing, because they will be controlling your writing. Now let's look at organization. So you might have guessed it. Organization is going to be you organizing your ideas so that they are just where you want them to be. You're going to connect them together, give them sense. So just like your skeleton gives shape to your body and hold everything in place, organization does just the same. So what you do is start by crafting an introduction paragraph that clearly states your main idea. So things that your teacher will be looking for will be a logical sequence of ideas, an effective use of transition words and phrases that link your ideas together. And then you will finish with a good conclusion paragraph. Now guys, let's talk about the feet of your piece of writing. Good writers use sentences of different lengths. Long sentences, short sentences, somewhere in between. Some sentences can be just one word. And What you want to do when you write, you want to vary the structure of your sentences so that your writing sounds natural. You want to have different types of sentences, like what we've been doing this. There are different types of sentences, different types of phrases within sentences. There are prepositional phrases, gerund phrases, positives, all of that. When you use all of the type of phrases that you know in the sentences that you write, this is going to give your piece of writing more variety, and this is going to make it look more vivid and more natural, and this is going to give a certain allure to your piece of writing. This is why we say that sentence fluency is what we can refer to as your fit when it comes to writing. Now let's move on to word choice. This is my favorite, word choice. And we said word choice is the muscles, right? Why do we say that? Make strategic choices when it comes to wording. Choose words that are strong, natural, appropriate, that means relevant, vivid, that means words that can make your reader imagine what you are saying. It's like you want them to see what you are saying, what you are writing. But when we say to choose strong words, we're not telling you to choose fancy words that are gonna sound forced. Some words that come from some sort of weird list of uncommon words. Sometimes it's a good thing when you're writing a formal email to someone very important. It's a good thing to use strong and very fancy words, but not all the time. It has to be relevant. It has to be appropriate. This is what you need to keep in mind. Um, yeah, sometimes you want to choose words that are literal and real. Sometimes you want to create imagery by using figurative speech, using figurative words. Now let's talk about your identity, your heart, your voice. Listen to that, guys. If your teacher knows you very well, they will know that you were the one who wrote that piece of writing. Your voice is what brings your writing to life. I this is it, maybe it sounds weird, but there is voice in writing. It's like your teacher can hear your voice. I think we've said that before in class, and I had some reaction on that. Some people were laughing about it, but it's true. This is really true in writing. Your voice is your identity. It's the thing that can make someone say, okay, this was written by so and so. So your teacher will be looking for the 4 C's of voice. And this is how they will recognize you also. So the 4 C's of voice are clear, confident, convincing, consistent. So when you're writing something, you want to be as clear as possible. You want to show confidence. You want to be confident. You're trying to convince your reader, and you want to be consistent. Now, conventions, they are not my favorite, but they are very important. As you can see, they are what have to see with grammar, the mechanics. Conventions protect your writing much in the same way your rib cage protects your vital organs, such as your lungs and your heart. So you have to make use of correct spelling, correct capitalization, correct punctuation. Punctuation is very important, guys. Remember when we talked about one-on sentences? So if you don't use correct punctuation, your sentences will be so confusing. People will not be able to understand them. And maybe you might have a sentence that is the length of a whole page, and you don't want to have that. And yeah, for convention, you have to make use of good grammar. Grammar errors cloud the meaning of the reading, and they also create confusion. So all of that will create confusion if you don't use them correctly. So conventions are your rib cage. They protect your writing like your rib cage protects your vital organs. Now let's talk about the writing process. Okay, before we get into the writing process, there is a little um, game that children like to play, but this is not in the slideshow. I'm just going to mention it. It's called the VIP cows. This is an acronym to help them remember the 6+1 traits. VIP cows. Um, it's like V for voice, I for ideas, P for presentation. In cows, you have C for convention, O for organization, W for word choice, and S for sentence fluency. Now let's move on to the writing process. You already know what it is. The writing process is the steps of 5 points through your writing. So it's pre-writing, what we call brainstorming, when it's the phase when you're collecting your ideas. And then the second step is the drafting phase, when you proceed with the piece of writing, organizing your ideas, making them, linking them together, making sentences and paragraphs. And after that, well, this is pretty much writing, um, doing your work. You are writing, you are doing your piece of writing. After that, you will revise your work. You will rewrite or rearrange your sentences to make them have more sense. You will improve word choice. You will remove some of the ideas that you had when you started, and maybe you will add some of the ideas that you were keeping off. But maybe you might want to say, okay, now I want to have these ideas and the piece of writing. Now this is the revision part, and this comes before editing. Editing has to see with grammar, punctuation, capitalization, spelling. Editing has to see with your rib cage, what is going to protect you. And then the last phase of the process of writing is publishing. This is basically when you submit your work to your instructor, because you know now your paper is neat. And maybe you're not submitting work to your instructor, but you are writing an article and then you're going to share it on social media. So this is what we call the writing process. And this is here a little classwork for fun. What you will do now is create a metaphor for the +1 trait, which is presentation. What part of your body would you say presentation refers to? And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Most people will come up with the same part of the body. But the second thing that you're gonna do is write an explanation for why you matched it with that part of the body. Most people will come up with the same explanation. And the last thing you're doing is match the 6+1 traits of writing with 7 other relevant things that are not body parts. Thank you guys. Class is over.